Question 5. What are the signs of the last day? Both the signs which are given in this answer, both relate to Dajjal. In consequence of which, this visit of Gabriel, of Jibreel alayhi salam, is giving an ominous message to us that you will not be able to understand Dajjal, the false Messiah. You will not be able to understand the world in the age of Dajjal, the false Messiah, unless and until you are blessed with internal spiritual insight, unless you have that thing called spirituality. He gave 2 answers, 2 signs of the last day. He said that you'd find naked, barefooted shepherds. I hope no Prime Minister feels I'm talking about him. You'd find the naked, barefooted shepherds, meaning people who have the intellectual acumen of naked, barefooted shepherds. That is their intellectual acumen. You'll find the naked, barefooted shepherds competing with each other to build the tallest building in the world. To build the best airport in the world. People who have the intellectual acumen of naked, barefooted shepherds will now measure progress with high-rise buildings. Look at the number of high-rise buildings we have. Look at the skyline. This is evidence of progress. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Look at them. They don't have any skyline like this. They don't have high-rise buildings. They're still in the stage of kampung. That's backward. That's a sign of backwardness. And this is the sign of progress. You measure progress with high-rise buildings. And so they compete with each other in building high-rise buildings. But you don't have to have much common sense. You don't have to have much knowledge to know that this is false. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The best of you, the noblest of you, in the sight of Allah, is he or she who has the greatest fear of Allah in the heart. And so a people may be living in bamboo houses, but in their hearts there is the fear of Allah. And you may have built the tallest building in the world, and the grandest airport in the world. And you and your companions may consider yourselves to be so progressive, and they're so backward. But in your heart there is no fear of Allah. The yardstick that the Qur'an uses says that they are superior than you. Has this sign already come in the world? Most certainly it has come. A mismanagement of the economy is also involved here. It is not just the corruption of thinking. It is not just people with the mental and intellectual acumen of naked, barefooted shepherds in charge of the economy and the state. It's more than that. It is a mismanagement of the resources of the society. At the same time that you're building these high-rise buildings, there are people working at something called minimum wage, and many working at less than minimum wage. What is minimum wage? It is a fig leaf to cover the economic slavery which comes with riba. The market in Islam, and someone could teach these prime ministers perhaps one day, the market in Islam is a free and a fair market. No prices are fixed, not in the market of Muhammad ﷺ. In your market, yes, but not in his. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, "O Messenger of Allah, prices are too high, fix the prices, price control." The Prophet said no. The man came back a second time. You've got to be brave to do that, eh? Came back a second time. "O Messenger of Allah, fix the prices, price control." The Prophet said no. The man came back a third time. "O Messenger of Allah, fix the prices, price is too high. Establish price control." The Prophet said no. 3 times he said no. He said, "But we can pray to Allah to bring down the prices. Increase of supply would cause prices to go down." And so the market in Islam is a market in which there are no fixed prices. Not for merchandise, not for commodities, and not for labor. It's a free market. But they have to impose price controls for rice in Indonesia, for rice, for basic necessities of life. And they have to impose price control on labor. Labor. So that the laborer can get a minimum wage. But the minimum wage that they pay is less than what that person ought to get, what Allah is giving to him, with which you can maintain yourself and your family. But he replies and he says, "We cannot afford to pay that wage because we don't have the money." You have the money to build high-rise buildings, but you don't have the money to pay a just wage by removing all price controls and allowing a free market to operate. When the free market operates, and then the laborer goes down into slave wages, then the laborer's eyes will open. This is slavery. And then he will revolt against the system. That's why they have to put minimum wages. Around the world, including Uncle Sam's country. Minimum wage. And then he came to the second sign. The first sign, riba is involved, riba. And then he came to the second sign, with which we're going to spend a little time tonight. He said, "You will see the slave woman giving birth to her mistress. And تَلِدَ الْأَمَةُ رَبَّتَهَا." How can a slave woman give birth to her mistress? In order to understand this sign, as in the connection with the first sign, you have to have external vision complementing internal vision, or internal vision complementing external vision, coming together. Then you'll understand the first, and now you'll understand the second. Imagine all of mankind aboard a ship. But because of riba, one part of mankind traveling first class, with permanent first class tickets. That's what riba does. When an economy is based on riba, the rich will now remain permanently rich, and the poor will be imprisoned in permanent poverty. Wealth will no longer circulate through the economy. That's the world today. That is their capitalist economy today. The rich are now permanently rich and growing richer. The poor are now permanently poor and growing poorer. And the number of poor constantly expanding. That's riba. One form of riba, of course, is borrowing and lending money on interest. Allah made it haram. The Prophet ﷺ cursed all four. All four. And he said that they were all equally guilty. The one who takes riba, put money in the fixed deposit, getting the interest, takes riba. Muhammad cursed him, ﷺ. The one who gives riba, he's borrowed money and interest for whatever be the purpose, usually to buy a house, sometimes to buy a car, sometimes for college education, Mr. Chairman, sometimes also to perform the Hajj. And now you're paying the interest on that loan. Muhammad ﷺ has cursed him, cursed him, cursed him. Number 3, the one who records the transaction. I don't know whether we have any bankers here tonight. The one who records the transaction. Muhammad ﷺ has cursed him, cursed him, cursed him. And the 2 witnesses. And he said that they were all equally guilty. And so all of mankind is aboard this ship. And a small minority, 10-15% of mankind, traveling first class in unprecedented luxury. Clean drinking water. The best medical care that money can buy. And medical care in the last age delivers what looks like, if we didn't take him to that hospital, he would have been dead.